The voice of sharing Durian ASEAN.
Hi, this is Arlene, and you are listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. And together with next to me
is Gauri, also hosting this Blast from the Grassroots session today with my beautiful host Arlene.
Yay! And my lovely host Gauri. Together we have a very handsome guy in the studio. Who is that, Gauri?
His name is Ehsan. And maybe he can tell us a little bit more about himself, what he does.
Very interesting introduction that you ladies have come up with. First of all,
thank you.
Thank you to Gauri and also to Arlene for welcoming me being part of the show in Durian ASEAN. Yes, Gauri, as you mentioned, I'm Ehsan. Okay, I'm basically the coordinator of Projek Dialog and discourse group promoting new discussions, focusing on inter-religion, interfaith discourse, and also some other nation-building topics that we discuss critically. Besides that, I'm also a student studying in the National University of Malaysia, studying sociology. And I do have quite a big interest when it comes to religion practices, and how does it actually affect and give impact to how we human beings live our life in our society now.
Mm-hmm. So aptly together with our topic today, which is called Ramadan Begins. What's the fuss?
So Ehsan, what's this whole idea behind fasting? Why is it compulsory, or is it even compulsory in the first place? Why do people fast during Ramadan?
Okay, I think we could see it from one way to see it. Okay, just in one sense, fasting is in a way something so common when it comes to how normal practice, even among a lot of different religions as well. Okay, even if you want to put Islam, it's more of as to be more like the younger religion comparing to other more established religions. Muslims as well practiced fasting, and there's two. We can put it as there's more like two kind of type of fasting. One is compulsory one. Okay, this compulsory one is being held every year throughout the Islamic calendar in this month of Ramadan. And besides than that, there are other type of fast which is in a way not compulsory. People can just do it whenever they prefer to do it, and there are even certain days which is promoted so that people can fast. But the compulsory one is only during the month of Ramadan.
When you say it's compulsory, meaning if they don't do it, what kind of retribution they will get?
If you don't do it, if they don't do it, then they just don't fast then on that day. Things may be a bit slower then. No. Okay, it's just as we know that it's so common in all religions. They have their own practices. They have their own rituals in certain way. What is supposed to be done? What are the things which is being practices to be seen as being established to be a common thing for all religious practitioners. So fasting is besides than few other main practices such as praying, such as going to pilgrimage, and few other things, is being seen as among the central practices, rituals among Muslims. So if someone doesn't fast, in a way, everyone needs their own personal and individual life, who actually knows. And so common, and it is actually part of the way Muslims, and I believe more or less the same with other religions as well, whatever practices or rituals being done is always being made for the purpose of a higher being, of God. So no one actually really supposed to know whether are you actually at this current moment fasting or not. Let's say that me, now maybe the listeners can really see what I'm doing. So what if I say that I want to just drink a cup of water, and maybe someone just asks, are you fasting now? Who knows, right? But it's going back to that idea that, okay, no one... it is supposed to be more of an individual, a personal practice to be done.
Maybe it's not a good idea to have coffee here on the table.
No. It's part of a fasting process. Right? Fasting process is not just about for anyone to go in isolation to a place somewhere in the middle of an island without seeing other people who doesn't fast or do other things like that. and that's not fasting. Fasting is
Okay.
in the way you change your mind, you change your reality of living, or how you practice your current.
But why only focusing it on a particular month called Ramadan? Why not change it forever? Like, when you move to a certain level or certain maturity in life, you change for the sake of it. You don't change for that one particular month. Or is it really a wrong mindset to actually think for just that one particular month?
Okay. This actually, and even for me, I usually have some kind of interesting discussions with other friends as well. Why is it fasting is mainly a practice being held just for the month of Ramadan? First of all, we cannot deny that Islam has its own history, has its own tradition, all these kind of things. It goes way back more than 1,400 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And there's no need to deny that even at the time Islam started in the deserts of Arabia, how Islam is being practiced, being developed, also more or less relates on how the setting of the time in Arabia as well. Certain things is being continued. So some people were asking whether, why is it we still need to fast during the month of Ramadan? Why isn't it we just change to fast to the month of June or July? Why is it we need to retain with this concept of the year system coming up from classical time, way far from our geographical area? So there's actually something like the tradition which Muslims just continue. We have got Islam came from the region of Arabia, and certain things are actually maybe there's no really a lot of issues or problem to be implemented here and now. So that's the practice that we remain definitely. Fasting is being held in the month of Ramadan, usually between 29 or 30 days. And on the question of whether, why is it we still need to focus fasting on this holy month of Ramadan only, instead of we try to see it more in a continuous way. Practically, as a practice, the fasting period is, yes, just for 1 month. But there's a lot of scholars coming up some views that with the fasting process is actually an educational. It's a learning process, so that we can actually implement things that we learn during this fasting month, so that it can actually supposed to be continue in the further months besides than only the Ramadan month only.
Apart from fasting, what other things that are so special about this month of Ramadan?
Okay. Interesting. Okay, because we are, especially in Malaysia here, we are already used to know that some even say that, we are actually in fasting month, right? Fasting month. Everything is about fasting.
Right. Like
It's about
bulan puasa.
Bulan puasa. Everything is about fast, even though things get slow. But actually, we less a bit highlight on the main point here is Ramadan. Ramadan is being seen as, from an Islamic perspective, supposed to be something. It's a very special month. Month of light, it's supposed to be a month of blessing from God. Ideally we could see it as this is supposed to be a month which is it's supposed to be a very beautiful month. No one should be in despair. Everyone should help each other, because part of the trainings which is being supposed to be being practiced by Muslims, it's not just about eating or drinking. It's also about controlling emotions, also about controlling our way of life, things to do and what things that we cannot do, and our ethics as well. So that is why it's supposed to relate to come up with a more very positive month of light. But definitely, we are all human beings, right? We all have our own problems.
I'm just curious because people always say, either Muslim or non-Muslim, they always say that Islam is a religion of compassion. But then during the month of Ramadan is a time where, there are different people with different ability to fast, or different preference whether they want to fast or not. But during the month of Ramadan is also a month where the state or society sort of they don't allow people to eat out in public, not just for Muslim but even for non-Muslim. Do you think that is actually part of Islam, that kind of practice?
Part of Islam, if you want to see Islam, Okay. If just to come up with some interesting point here is, what is Islam in this country? Let's see, what is Islam in Malaysia? Okay, Islam goes beyond religion. It goes in one sense we can see it. Islam is not just a set of values. It's not just something of and a set of idea that people subscribe as a religion so that it can provide something beneficial to the life of a person. Islam goes beyond that, and part of it is institution. Part of it is, some people saying that it's the system of the state. That's also Islam. So, and if you look into the reality in Malaysia, that is the case. Islam is beyond value, is beyond community traditions. It is also institution as well. So, looking into that issues of whether is it supposed to be the case, which if there are some other peoples during this month of Ramadan, we can say that the majority of Malay Muslims mostly maybe will be practicing fasting. But if there are some other people who are not fasting, can they openly show or express that they are not fasting? For me, I would put it as that shouldn't be a problem. I was in Indonesia in 2 or 3 years back, and during the month of Ramadan, and definitely at that time, I do see this is, even though we know Indonesia is also a majority Muslim country and mostly people fast at the time. Shops are open, McDonald's are open. Definitely here McDonald's are open too. But we can see that there is no so much of an prejudice eye, okay, when it comes to seeing other people eating or not eating during the month of Ramadan.
Well, I just wanted to know, maybe apart from fasting in terms of consuming food, what other things that, because I understand you're supposed to abstain from a lot of things, like mentally as well.
Okay. Well, physically as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so maybe if you can give us a little more information about that.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to understand what fasting is all about. If I go back, try to remember what I learned during my religious education or schools. There's a simple definition given, okay, when we ask what is fasting, what is puasa. Okay, the normal definition which is given is that to abstain from eating and drinking and putting anything inside our body. So that is more or less a kind of definition which was being given. In a way, that was the definition that most people understand during the early period of learning about what religion is all about. But later, in the later stage, we understand that fasting is definitely goes beyond eating, goes beyond drinking, goes beyond controlling anything physical or even sexual in certain ways. It should also go to a point of the ability to control in certain ways, our mental state, our emotional state as well, so that we could try our best to perform a life of an ideal human being based on in certain ways a general understanding of an ideal human being, and in certain ways is how Islam itself defines an ideal human being.
And another thing about different, I guess I would like to touch on the social economic dimension of society who fast. I mean, of course, anyone can fast if they want to, and if they have the energy and the spirit and also the devotion to do it. But we also need to understand, like, people coming from different social background, they might not be able to fast properly or even to fast itself. For example, like a person who is working, having a low wage job, working in a construction work under the hot sun, he might not be able to fast. But unfortunately, when the law takes up religion as part of its ideology, it ensures that everyone should fast according to what the Quran once said. But how do you see it? Do you think there should be loopholes for people coming from different socio-economic background?
Okay. First of all, if you refer what is fasting all about, if you refer to, I think if I'm not mistaken, there's a verse in the Quran which explains quite well what fasting is all about, which is actually beyond our usual understanding of not eating and not drinking. It is not it's not the purpose to cause suffering. It's not the purpose to cause suffering for the person who is doing the fasting. It is more of to teach of to do the right things and to do the positive things in life. So going back to Arlene's question on whether for people in very difficult conditions based on their socio-economic conditions, such as working as we can put it as maybe hard labours in the bright sun, very hot condition and those kind of things. The purpose of fasting is not to cause sufferings. So it is not right to say that for these people under this condition, they need to continuously fast as to the other people doing different type of socio-economic activities. And it is put it clear which that for hard labours, it is understood that it is not a necessity to continue fasting. Because the condition is clear that it may not be it may not be positive for the person itself. Even if you look into recently, there's one, if I'm not mistaken, one scholar which I just read up an article saying that, if I'm not mistaken, is it in Iceland where the fasting time goes to a point of 21 hours, and this one scholar gave a point of view that no. Fasting hours should not exceed 18 hours, because if it exceeds 18 hours, it will cause some kind of problems or difficulties to the person. So he says that, okay, certain things can be changed, just mainly to suit the purpose of what is it the religion teaches us. Why is it that for us to perform this fasting practice?
What's the deal with with little kids? Maybe at what age are they expected to start fasting, or is there a limit to that, or it's just whenever they're ready?
Okay. If I try to recall back my years, I think it was when I was 6 or is it 7 years old, which it was my first time I completed my first day of fasting. Okay, at that time was definitely, we don't understand what's fasting all about. Besides then we know that no drinking, no eating for almost 12 hours, man, that's killing. I can remember that. There is no really any specific age in terms of what is the first year a Muslim should start fasting. There's no really any specific age. Basically, we can say that when the person is, we can see it as ready. There is this concept of I think it's more like a religious concept, akil balik, which is you are already reached the point of, we can put it as rational enough to understand religion.
As in a certain level of maturity.
Yeah, certain level of religious maturity. So that's the time everyone is expected to perform the.
So there's this another concept that I think I saw on TV before. Is they call it puasa batal. There are certain things that you do, and it gets your fasting becomes void right away.
So I guess
how
the
true
do's
is
and
that?
don'ts of fasting, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Even that is an issue which is highly debated.
Okay.
It's highly debated. Mainly, we can see this from two perspectives. One, from, we can say, scholars which has very strict and literal interpretation on what can be done and what cannot be done during a person of fasting. With this kind of approach, things may get really strict, to a point of definitely no to eating and drinking. Some go to a point of putting hands inside your mouth or nose, so things like that. This is something that can be considered as making your fasting void. So those are among the examples coming from the more strict school of thoughts. But there are more open ones which actually don't really focus too much when it comes to what actually makes the fasting process void.
So it's not a fixed thing. It varies with different person. And
I will not put it at it varies, depend on person. The general sense of eating and drinking is there. That is the main thing. Basically controlling a person from his physical needs or wants. Besides than that, when it comes to some other technicalities, some other smaller things, that's the part which varies between one to another.
And also, it seems like, at least within the Malay Muslim community in Malaysia, fasting has become a way for people to pointing fingers at each other, like how pious you are, to compare themselves uh, between different people, as if like how pious they would be, among their peers. But do you think what do you think should be the right attitude that people should have in mind when they fast?
For me, I think it goes back to the main point here. It goes back to the main point here. Fasting, is one thing is fasting, but the main thing is for Muslims, we are in the month of Ramadan, the month of light, put it, okay, which is supposed to be the month of beauty, okay. So everything for a person, for a Muslim in a way to do, is supposed to be doing something positive, doing something good. That's the main part, and fasting is being seen as part of the practice, which is need to be done during this month of Ramadan, so that this kind of beauty or this kind of idea of good thing is actually being focused more in the spiritual part of a person. So this includes doing the right thing, doing the good things, and if in case there's this kind of happenings that some people try to show that he is actually being better than another person, it is supposed to be contradicting to what is actually being supposed to be done, because what is good is mainly supposed to be spiritual, not something obvious by another person. But of course, when it comes to the decision making of a person on what to do and how to do good, there's definitely a diverse way on how people want to do it. But still, if you want to see that people compete in doing good things, in most cases, it will tend to be better. I can give an example. It's quite a normal practice during this month of Ramadan. During the breaking fast sessions, usually in mosque or small community mosque, they will have this breaking fast ceremony. Okay, so that everyone will come and break fast together. And it's common that different people will sponsor the meal for the day. Okay, so saying that for the first day it will be one person, for the second day it would be another person. So sometimes between the days, some people may sponsor better food in certain ways. Some people may sponsor even something which is more moderate, which is more simple. We cannot really say that, okay, who actually sponsored, let's say, a nasi biryani meal for buka puasa is actually done something better than a person who just sponsored some fruits and simple, say, bread or anything. Because at the end of the day, it's going back to the intention of the person who wants to do good thing.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you raised that, because I think gluttony is one of the biggest sin in Christian religion, and I think would be the same in Islam as well, gluttony. But why, interestingly, at least in the context of Malaysia, during the month of Ramadan is the time where people actually eat more than they should be.
Yes, that is definitely, I think, I would put it as a kind of more of a kind of maybe a modern phenomena among Muslims here, in especially when it comes to breaking fast. This culture of focusing too much on the meals being prepared during the breaking fast, it is something which in certain ways contradicts the whole day of fasting process itself. That's one thing. We can see this also common in this culture of bazaar Ramadan, when there's a lot of variety of food. Definitely it's good when it comes to, if you want to see from a perspective that people are helping to serve the food which is actually being used for other Muslims who cannot prepare the food for them to break their fast. But when it comes to being overdone, so in a way it became more like a ceremony of food. Okay, and there's a lot of wastage happening. This is definitely against the concepts or the main values being taught during the fasting man. I'm not mentioning about this culture of breaking fast in hotels, which people pay for hundreds of ringgit just for a seat, which is definitely, if you want to see from a religious perspective, definitely is under quite a heavy critic there.
Okay. Back in USM, actually, they always had all these buka puasa events at the mosque nearby. and they would actually encourage everyone to attend. And I thought that was a great way to sort of bring everyone together.
Indeed.
And because I don't know about everyone, but I feel like a lot of non-Muslims usually don't know if they're even allowed to like go near the mosque. Like, is it proper? Is it not? But during that time, they actually kind of just invited everyone, like, oh, come on, we're having a free dinner here, join us. And yeah, I thought that was a very good...
Even for me, if to share a bit of my experience, maybe I think it was 4 or 5 years back, when yes, definitely in that age, I think in that age, that there's always a sense of want to try to understand things better.
Right.
And one of it is definitely the fasting process, which my usual way of fasting when it comes to breaking fast is that, okay, we will break the fast with family members or with friends usually. But a few years back, I was trying to look into different ways, and I start to more like having kind of a short travels. I go to one place to another to see and to experience breaking fast with different communities. And part of it is I went to the National Mosque, the Masjid Negara, which I see that foods have been prepared for as usual for Muslims mainly to break the fast, but there are also other religious communities as well taking part, and part of it are maybe some of them a bit among the unlucky people who are homeless and not able to provide their own food for themselves or family. They also take part, and they also, so this is actually quite an interesting scene to watch at that time.
So I have a final question for you. I noticed that earlier you mentioned when you talked about Ramadan, you talked about the Festival of Light. Yeah. So this may be a rookie question, but why would you refer to it as the Festival of Light?
Okay. I would put it as because it is supposed to be a month of blessing. Okay, it is supposed to be a month of blessing, a clear month that everyone should do good, to a point of trying to reflect on ourselves, trying to reflect on our own reality that we are actually living. Because to be a Muslim, or in a way to be a person who subscribes to any point of religion, there's always this higher goal of life must bring positive meanings. And this positive meaning should, in certain way, improve ourselves in leading the right way of life. Alright. So I would put it as maybe in a more artistic term. Yes, light is something which actually brings the positive dimension to how do we see the world, how do we shape the reality that we own, that we understand ourselves. So Ramadan is a very good opportunity for us to reflect, to rethink, to review our own understanding of the world and the way we lead, the way we live our life, so that towards the end of the fasting period, which we know is usually being celebrated as the Idul Fitri, or known as the Hari Raya, Hari Raya Puasa. It's also an interesting occasion, which is supposed to be a celebration of who we are. Okay, meaning that for after this almost 30 days of fasting, that's the time we are supposed to have reached a certain level of humanness. Okay, so we can continue for the rest of the year a more positive way of leading our life.
Anyway, thank you very much, Ehsan, Shahwahid, for sharing with us your thoughts about puasa or fasting. And I think with the month of Ramadan, the best that we all can do, either Muslim or non-Muslim, is to appreciate the meaning of being spiritual and the meaning of religious life in the life of people. So I'm signing off. Arlene here.
And this is Gauri. Before that, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and also subscribe to our Facebook channel.
Or you can listen to us via your mobile at TuneIn, at your TuneIn app, or listen to us live at www.durianasian.com.
And thank you very much, Ehsan. I definitely learned a lot today as a non-Muslim myself.
Thank you, Gauri. Thank you, Arlene. Really appreciate the opportunity to be part of our discussion today.